School stress is something almost every student deals with, but no one really talks about it. How deep it can go. The pressure, the expectations, feeling like your worth is based on your grades, it's a lot. And if you ever felt overwhelmed, burnt out, or ever alone because of school, this video is for you. Hi everyone, I'm Annalise, host of NSHSS 101, where we talk about real student experiences, leaderships, how to grow beyond just academics, and of course, NSHSS. Today, I'll be joined by Cheska, a high school sophomore who has a really powerful story. She went from feeling pretty isolated during her freshman year to really finding her voice and confidence, and now she's passionate about helping other students do the same. She's involved in the Yuma program in DC, where she leads conversations around emotional intelligence and confidence. She leads discussions in her youth group, and she also tutors middle school students. And outside of that, she enjoys playing tennis and cycling. Hello, welcome. How are you?
Good and you?
I'm fine. Siska, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to talk about this topic with you because I know it's something so many students can relate to. To
hmm
start off, can you describe what school stress looks like for you personally?
Well, for me, at my old school, school stress looked like constant deadlines such as daily tests, quizzes, and assignments all stacked upon each other on the same day. But more than that, it was the pressure I put on myself to be perfect since I felt like every grade mattered so much. And if I didn't acquire a grade that I thought was like up to my standards, I felt very disappointed. And my schedule was also really intense since I had a long commute to school. And so I was really constantly tired every day. And overall, it just felt like I was just trying to keep up with the pace for a very high achieving student, and I had no inner peace.
Thank you for sharing that, Seska.
hmm
I think a lot of students are going to relate to that, especially about the part about feeling defined by academics.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned to me that going through a period where you really felt academically focused and even isolated. Do you think you can tell me a little bit more about that experience and how it affected you on a deeper level?
Yes, I have to say I was really focused on my grades. As I said before, I felt like every grade determined my future or even predicted it. And as I said before, if I didn't get a perfect grade or a good grade in my terms of like high standards, I would immediately panic. And at the same time, I also didn't prioritize building friendships or building authentic relationships with the peers and classmates around me, since I was just so focused on achieving my academics, I didn't really think of gathering a social life, or I thought I would be content with my grades and have no friends. And I really didn't put myself out there or socialize a lot, and I did not start any conversations. So I ended up feeling really lonely, and that also took a toll on me since I was physically around people, but I had no connections, and I saw everyone had friends except me. And overall, I think I gave off an energy that I wasn't as open as I should be because I was always tired due to a long commute. And on top of that, I was really stressed for not being perfect, having perfect grades, or not being like able to be placed on my high terms of standards. And so that made it harder for me to form friendships with the people around me.
Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. I experienced the same thing too. I didn't have that many friends in high school. I chose to focus more on the academic side of things because I wanted to get the perfect grades and I wanted to be valedictorian. And recently, my school put out the top senior rankings and I landed fourth place, which did make me happy. I did have a breakdown because I was so obsessive over my grades and I wanted to get the perfect grades, but I realized that it wasn't good for me to knock myself down so hard. And I have to say, I have to see myself like I'm fine just the way I am. And just because I don't have perfect grades doesn't mean I'm not great. Perfect grades don't define who you are. You're still a pretty
Mhm.
great person. Just because you don't have perfect grades doesn't mean you're not smart, doesn't mean you're not capable and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
that's a lesson I had to learn the hard way. And what you said about not having many friends. I had that too, but I avoided the people who I didn't think would be good for me. Every now and
Mhm.
then I will pop up a casual small talk, but it was nothing big. But I realized that that has affected me so much mentally and emotionally. It was just like
Mhm.
this mental thing just waiting to come out eventually. And I feel like I've been lonely on friends at school for so long that
Mhm.
it's affected me bad mentally, and I felt so lonely and so behind socially, and I had to grow from that. So
That's
I think
good.
that's something that we can all learn. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Make it a small effort, even if it's a small effort. Try to be social and talk to the people around you. And
Mhm.
who knows, you may make some friends along the way.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Yeah, took me a while to learn that advice. Okay, so you also mentioned that you also mentioned to me that you are in a leadership program through the Yuma Prep, which really helped you grow. And I want to know what changed for you during that experience.
Yeah, so it was basically a summer program. It's actually called Washington Week, but it was through the program of Yuma Prep, since that's the name of the center. And so it was basically a summer program where I got to meet like around 10 to 12 girls all around the country. Not too big, but it was enough for us to, get to know each other more and socialize and get to know each other at a deeper level. And it was rising sophomores, juniors, and seniors. So we were around the same age. And what we did at the camp, it was basically a leadership program where we got to develop our talking skills, our leadership skills. And we also got to tour around DC. That's why it's called Washington Week. And we got to like visit certain exhibitions, and we got to have like certain insights of what it's like in the real world, and we got to explore different careers and what they were like, and it was really great. But to be honest, before going to that camp, as I stated before, I was a very isolated freshman, if I could say it like that. I didn't, as I said before, I didn't have a lot of friends. I felt like no one liked me because I was just into my grades and academics a lot. And so before that program, before entering, I was thinking to myself, how am I supposed to make friends here if I couldn't even make friends at my old school? And but then that question answered itself because I realized this is a completely new environment. These people or girls don't even know that I was like this quiet, stressed, academic version of myself. And so I asked myself, do I really have to let my past version of myself define me and like let it ruin or draw the chapter out of like what my camp experience will be like? And so I decided to try, as you said before, to just try a little, give a little effort into this environment. And yes, it was uncomfortable. Like as an introvert and a person who didn't really initiate conversations a lot, especially when you just stepped into a whole new environment, just putting in like a little effort just changed everything. And I found myself, I was laughing more with these other girls. I found myself talking more. And surprisingly, I felt content with myself. And I no longer like felt that constant school stress on me, because even though it's summer, it's like, oh, I usually think about what can I do to plan for the next school year. But it was like I was actually present in the moment. Like I no longer thought of any forms of stress. I thought of just like bringing my best self of me out there. And it was actually like really wonderful because I didn't know that version of me still existed because I was so deep into my schoolwork that I didn't even care like who I was as a person. I was like, no, I'm just a student. I'm only focused on my work and that's all I am. But when I got there, I had the chance to talk to other people and actually enjoying myself and finding this voice inside me that it's okay to just let that stress go and to just be your authentic self in front of others. And you don't have to play this game of who's the smartest or who's number one all the time. And so for the first time in a long time, I just felt really happy and content with myself and just being content with who I was. And I didn't need to prove to myself anything that I needed to be worthy, if it were like their grades or the class ranking or even socially. I just felt like I already had something valuable to offer, and I really didn't need to change for who I was in order to feel accepted. And so that's why I love that program so much.
Your story is very inspiring, and a lot of students can relate to what you are saying. I think that what you are saying sounds like you've been through some hard things mentally and in school. And it's amazing that you're able to say all those experiences and all those things that you experienced verbally and so clearly in a way that we can picture what you're going through, what you pictured, and some of the things that were going through your head. The way that you said it made it sounds like that you felt more alive when you were in the program than when you were in school because you said that you were
Mhm.
a completely different person. Like a new side of you just awakened that you didn't even know were there.
When I went there, they were like, "Oh, you're so extrovert," and I was like, "No, I'm actually an introvert." And so it just came at that time where I was like, "Wow, like I'm such a different person." Like because I'm used to being described as very quiet, very serious, stressed, and just very academically focused. But these people described me as being bubbly, and I just felt really like happy because I felt like I could just be myself there, and I didn't have to showcase anything or prove to them that I'm worthy to be seen because I just felt very seen and valued for the first time, especially like in a long time since I've been like in a hyper competitive school. And so just having that refreshing like moment of just being seen and valued and not just be happy through my achievements, but that I'm just living life and it's okay to just take things.
I get that too. In my school, some people know me as bubbly, energetic, excited, very happy, very talkative. My teachers will tell me, "You talk so much." And then my other teachers are like, "She's an introvert. She's quiet. She's serious." Some of the students will say, "She's judgmental. She's quiet. She doesn't like talking to anyone." Because I guess
Mhm.
I make faces. But some people know me as quiet, other people know me as not quiet. I think it's just the environment where we are. Some places we're more comfortable than others, and that's why we feel more free to express ourselves more, you know?
Yes, I totally understand.
Mhm. So I'm gonna ask you another question. For students who feel overwhelmed right now, what are some practical ways they can start managing their stress?
Well, one thing I would say, since I was a perfectionist and as a person who struggled with perfectionism, I think a good way to answer your question or to manage stress is to not tie your identity with grades. Even though it's really hard, especially for high achieving students like me and those who strive for the perfect scores on their tests or exams. I just want to say, like, when I did that, I just constantly felt disappointed because it's impossible to score 100% all the time. It's impossible to always be number one. And it's just impossible to fill that sense within you with just because you always think that you need to feel perfect, but you don't. And so when you have that mindset of tying your identity with your grades, you'll just always feel disappointed even though you're doing extremely well. And so that's what I have to say for the perfectionists out there and very high achieving students, because it's really easy to get caught up with, oh, I should have done better, I could have studied more. But in reality, you just did your best, and that's all what you could ask for from yourself. Another way to alleviate stress from schoolwork or any form of stress in your life is to take like actual breaks. I know it's a really intense schedule, especially for high schoolers, to balance schoolwork, friendships, families, and extracurriculars. But just to take an actual break, not just like scrolling through your phone, since social media is really popular these days, but just letting your mind actually rest. Like even doing something simple, like what I do, I just take a 10 to 15-minute rest on my bed, or even going for a short walk around your neighborhood. It really helps to just go out there and get like fresh air from like being inside all day and studying, or just doing all this work inside your school building or your house. And so it's just really great to just have like a fresh, like just have a space for fresh air. And but for me, I think the best way to manage stress is to just talk to someone who like understands you. And I usually do this like with my friends because they're around my age, and it's easier to talk to them than my parents, since they understand what I'm going through, and they're in high school too. So just being able to share what like you're going through with someone who understands you just makes you feel so much better, and it just lets you know that you're not in this alone. Like even though it feels like in the moment you're the only person who's suffering, it feels like everyone else has got it together. But in reality, you don't know what goes on behind their doors, or what goes on behind the scenes if they like post it on social media, all their achievements. Everyone has a cross to bear, and just talking it out just alleviates stress for me for the most part. So I hope that answered your question.
It did. It did really good. I also take breaks whenever things get stressful for me. What I do is I take a walk in my backyard. I have a big, beautiful backyard. I have a garden. I love walking through my garden, and
Uh-huh.
I like looking for animal tracks on the floor, and I'll follow the animal tracks and I'll try to find the animals.
Oh,
Uh,
that's nice.
that's what I do. Or I'll take a nap, or I'll maybe do some arts and craft that always calms me down.
Oh yeah.
I
Art
don't
really
really,
helps.
mhm. I don't really like social media when I'm like stressed out or I need a break. I don't know about you, but for me it makes me more tired
Yeah,
and more drained
same.
and stuff, and it doesn't
Mhm.
really help with my stress. It can distract from it for a second, but honestly, right after I go back to feeling stressed and I feel more tired afterwards. So I always find like what you said works best is fresh air. It's really
Yeah.
yeah, and some sun. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
sunlight. Yes.
So for me, what I did whenever I felt overwhelmed and stress and stuff, and how I managed my stress was, I kept my eyes on my future. Once I
Mhm.
graduate
Yeah.
college, I'm gonna do this and this and that. I'm gonna have a house. I'm gonna have a car. I'm gonna have a job. I'm gonna be independent woman. I'm gonna make a ton of money. Hopefully, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully. But, keep my eyes on the future. This isn't
Mhm.
forever. High school's not forever. Grade school's not forever. I may be having these problems somewhere else down the line in the future, but, at least
Yeah.
it's somewhere else, honestly. And I'll be more knowledgeable enough to handle them better than I did now. I'll learn from my mistakes and I'll be able to tackle it better. For me, I always had my schedule written down, anything that I needed to do, because when I experience burnouts, my brain just wants to shut down. And to make it
Mhm.
easier for
Yeah.
my head, I have everything written down so my brain doesn't have to like bring up those memories and everything I need to do all the time. And then I would get stressed out and I would beat myself down if I forget to do something. I'll be like, "You're irresponsible. You didn't do this. You're so forgetful. What's wrong with you?" And then if I
Yeah.
forget to do something, there's going to be consequences because I forgot to do it. and it's just this snowball effect of one thing after another. And I learned that writing things down makes life so much easier. If you don't like writing things down, you can use an app on your phone. I used an app on my phone. It's pretty great. My phone has an alarm that goes off to remind me to do the stuff that I need to do, and it's so helpful for me.
That's good.
And yeah, and like what you said, getting advice from someone, for me, it was a friend's and my school's counselor and my
Mhm.
mother, and they helped guide me through this path, and they are helping me to transition to adulthood. And all the advice they give me, I'm very appreciative of it. And I also have some people who help me with my assignments because, sometimes you're studying, you're doing the work, and it just doesn't make sense sometimes. And you're like, you want to quit. It's so frustrating. And, I don't, I
Mhm.
don't think that students should have to go through that. We should have someone to help us understand the work fully. If a teacher's not available, maybe there's someone else in your life who can help you. My mother is very smart. She's good at math and stuff. So sometimes I will take it to her. Sometimes I will take it to a friend at school. I have a friend at school who's an absolute math magician. She is like 2, 3 grades ahead, and she's a genius. So I asked her for help, and you know, I think that's definitely brought the stress down by a lot and made life easier. My mom
Mhm.
says that like candy, so I'm gonna use her for
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, those are good points you mentioned, especially like writing down your thoughts. That also helps alleviate the stress. So it's another form to just get the stress off your mind.
Having a diary is also nice. If you
Yeah.
don't have anyone to like vent to, you can just have a diary. I have 2 diaries. One, I
Mhm.
filled it all to the very end. It's like a book of my life, and I keep it and
Uh-huh.
I like reading through it. And then
Yeah,
I'm like halfway done with the second one.
that's nice.
Yeah. Having a diary helps a lot.
Uh-huh.
Okay. What would you say to students who are starting to feel burnout or like their self-worth is tied to their grades?
I would say, as I said before, you are not your GPA. You are not your grades. Do not ever tie your self worth and what you are, because even though this might sound philosophical, everyone has dignity. And dignity is, what is this person's purpose in life? Why are they living? They have the value and respect they have in order to live. So don't let any form of failure or any form of disappointment make you feel like you're not worthy to live, because that's just unfair on your part, because you're saying I should die because I didn't score this amount of points, or I don't deserve to live because I'm not the number one in my class, or I don't deserve to live because I'm not friends with these amount of people. But it's okay to feel overwhelmed, but it doesn't mean that you're actually failing at life. And a lot of things that I notice in the school system is that even though it says like a lot of times it's just another way to learn. Like even though you're really disappointed in yourself, it's just another way to bring yourself back up again and to know that you can do it a second time. Like just because it didn't like happen your way once doesn't mean that all the doors are closed to your success. Like this is just one door that's just closed and it's not meant for you, and that a better door will open. And even though it seems like a lot of people say this a lot, it actually like really helps, because like with my experience at my old school, I didn't really like it. The people weren't as nice as they were. It was like very hard in terms of like academics, and it affected my mental health a lot. But then my parents discovered this homeschooling program, and I thought, oh, I never thought in my life I would be homeschooled. Like, I thought that would be just so far away. And the thought of homeschooling was really nice, but now being like homeschooled, I could just stay at home and I have much more sleep to myself instead of commuting a very long way to another state. Um, I mean, there was just a bigger plan for me, and now I have more sleep. My mental health is better. I have friends at my local community, and so it's just fine. Like even though you're going through one bad season of your life, it helps you grow into someone who you're meant to be. So I hope that answers your question.
It does. Viewers, I want you to know something that you are still young and you are still learning, and these hard things that you're going in through high school is a process that's going to help you through your adult life. I know things are difficult, things may seem unfair and challenging, and you may feel like that you are being pushed to your limits, but trust that if you continue this route, if you keep fighting, if you keep working hard, that you will succeed in the end and you will become a better and a stronger person than you were before, and that you are going to kill it in the adult world. I want to ask you a question, Siska.
Hmm.
How far away was your school from your house?
It was 30.1 miles each way.
So, how many minutes would you say?
Oh, well, it depends because on the morning it's like rush hour, so it's very different from afternoon time. But in the morning it would take around an hour, like an hour and 10 minutes, but in the afternoon because everyone wants to go home, it takes like 2 hours. So it really affected a lot of time and took a lot of time away from me and my schoolwork.
Yeah, I'm sure that sleep might have been an issue for you as well.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems like
And
uh that you, what kind of school did you say you go to? Competitive
oh,
school?
the school name?
No. Uh competitive school. There was a
Oh
word.
yeah, yeah.
Yes. So, having to drive an hour long and 2 hours long back must have been really adding to your stress. And then not
Mhm.
sleeping that good must have added even more to your stress. And not to mention all these heavy subjects and, these mental things like, oh, like feeling lonely and stuff like that. Like that must have
Mhm.
been a lot on your shoulders, I imagine.
Yep, it was.
But things better now?
Yeah, it's way better.
You're being homeschooled now?
Yes, I'm homeschooled.
I wish I was homeschooled.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Get more sleep and stuff. No
Yep.
noise,
Yeah,
quiet. Able to just like chill and be by yourself.
yeah,
That sounds nice.
it really is.
And how many years you got left till you graduate high school?
I'm in my sophomore year, so I have like 2.25, I guess, but 2 years left.
Mm. I
Yeah.
have a month and a few days left.
Oh, wow. Oh, you're a
Yeah,
senior?
yeah. Can't
That's
wait to
great.
leave.
Did you like senior year?
But like, I think for a lot of people, senior year is like one of the best years. But honestly, for me, I feel like that's when all my mental issues started like coming out into the surface. And then like school was harder and
Uh-huh.
not a lot of things went my way. For senior year, I was picturing the things that everyone has been telling me for years how it was going to work. And
Mhm.
then at the end of the day, it didn't work out like that, and all that
Mhm.
excitement just kind of drained away, to be honest. But that's my experience.
Oh, I'm
It was a
sorry.
formative experience for me. I think the experiences that I'm most looking forward to is college. I'm
Yeah,
very excited for college. I imagine that it's going to be even better than high school. I know it's going to be harder, but I love being academically challenged. I like the idea of being in a big, fancy school because I go to a small school, and just expanding myself more in the world sounds very exciting to me.
that's nice.
Was your Oh, you're not in senior yet. I was gonna ask you, how was your senior year?
Oh, well, to answer that, I'm pretty I think it will go well because I'm planning to be homeschooled again. Well, my parents and I are planning to stay homeschooled. But I think it would just be stressful with the college applications because I heard it's like really challenging and there's like this term called senioritis. And my mom warned me about that. And so, yeah, I think that's all I need to stress about senior year. But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, senioritis is real. I heard
Yeah,
about it for the first time in a movie. It was a high school movie I was watching, and I was like, senioritis? That sounds so weird.
I know.
And then I actually got it, and I was like, oh my gosh, senioritis is real. I was like, this is what I want to do when I grow up. This is what I want to do for like ever since I was 12 years old. Maybe it's not what I want to do when I grow up. And I was like, this is what
Yeah.
I want. I was like going back and forth, cold feet and confused,
Yeah.
but I think I finally got the plan settled, what college I want to go to, what I want to major in, and all that. If there was one final message you could give to students watching this who feel overwhelmed or stuck, what would it be?
Well, just to conclude the discussion, just know that what you're going through right now, any difficult situation you're going through, either in school or relationships, family, or extracurriculars, just know you are not behind in life just because you are struggling right now, just because you are enduring a hard season. It actually helps you see what's bright to come, and it helps shape you who you're meant to be in order to become the best successful version in your life.
Thank you so much for sharing your story and your advice. This was honestly such an important conversation. And to everyone watching, just remember that you are more than your grades and your voice matters more than you think. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more conversations on NSHS 101. And I'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.